I want to tell you a little story. It's about a small brown sparrow. He was a perfectly good sparrow. He could fly with the best of them. His song was sweet in the morning air, and he knew just where to find the juiciest worms after a spring rain. But this little sparrow was unhappy. Every day, he would perch on a branch overlooking the grand lawn of a nearby estate and watch the peacocks. Oh, the peacocks. With their crowns of shimmering feathers and their tails that fanned out like 1,000 iridescent blue and green eyes. He looked at his own simple brown coat and felt a deep, aching sense of being plain. He spent his days wishing for just one of their magnificent feathers. He would watch them strut, so proud and so regal, and his own little sparrow heart would sink. He started to believe his song wasn't sweet enough, his flying wasn't graceful enough, and his very existence was somehow less valuable because he wasn't adorned in jewel tones. He imagined how wonderful life must be as a peacock, admired by all, the center of attention. He thought that if he could just be like them, all his worries would disappear, and he would finally feel a sense of profound and lasting happiness. He was so busy looking at what he wasn't, he started to forget the simple joys of being what he was. Isn't that something we can all relate to on some level? We look at someone else's life, their career, their family, their home, their seemingly effortless grace, and we see a peacock. We see the shimmering feathers and the confident strut, and then we look at our own lives, our own simple brown coats, and we feel that familiar pang of not measuring up. We start to believe that our song isn't quite right, that our flight path has been a little wobbly. We convince ourselves that true happiness is over there with them, in their grander, more colorful world. And in doing so, we miss the beauty of our own unique journey. That little sparrow story has stayed with me for a long time because it's a story about all of us. It's a story about the human heart and its tendency to compare, to measure, and to want. But what if the secret to lasting happiness isn't about getting more feathers? What if it's about learning to love the wings we have? Over the years, through many conversations and quiet moments of reflection, I've come to believe there are a few gentle truths that can guide us back to ourselves. Stay with me for a little while, and let's explore them together. I think you'll find a piece of your own story in here. Comparison. It's been called the thief of joy. And isn't that the truth? It's a mirror that we hold up to our lives, but it's a distorted one. It only reflects what we think we lack, never what we truly possess. When we look into that mirror, we don't see the whole picture. We see a carefully curated highlight reel of someone else's life next to our own behind-the-scenes footage, complete with all the messy, unscripted, and difficult moments. It's a rigged game, and it's one we can never, ever win. And yet, we keep playing, don't we? We scroll through photos, we hear stories of grand vacations or perfect grandchildren, and that old feeling starts to creep in. I remember a time, years ago, when I was just starting out. I would look at other people who seemed so much further along, so much more confident and polished. I'd see their successes and feel a knot tighten in my stomach. I'd think, why not me? When will it be my turn? Am I doing something wrong? It was exhausting. It was a constant cycle of striving and feeling like I was falling short. That feeling of not enough can be a heavy cloak to wear, weighing down our spirits and blinding us to the progress we've actually made. It whispers that we are behind in some imaginary race that no one ever officially started. Now, with a few more years under my belt, I see that mirror of comparison for what it is, a mirage. It promises a clear reflection but only shows us illusions. What we see in others is rarely the full story. We don't see the silent struggles, the moments of doubt, the private tears, or the hard work that went into creating that beautiful picture. We only see the peacock's fan, not the effort it takes to lift it. We only see the finished painting, not the hundreds of messy brushstrokes and corrected mistakes that brought it to life. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we insist on measuring our own unique, unrepeatable life against an incomplete and often inaccurate image of another's? This is a conversation I think we need to have more often, especially as we get older. The world tells us to keep striving, to accumulate more, to look younger, to do more. But what if wisdom is about unlearning that impulse? What if it's about gently setting down that distorted mirror and turning our gaze inward, toward the truth of our own experience? It's about finally, deeply, Understanding that our worth is not determined by how we stack up against anyone else. It's inherent, it's absolute, and it's been there all along, waiting for us to recognize it. You are not just enough, you are everything. Here is the first truth, and it's a foundational one. Your journey is your own. It has its own map, its own terrain, its own timeline, and its own sacred purpose. It was never meant to look like anyone else's. Think about it. No one else has walked in your shoes. No one else has felt the world through your heart, seen it through your eyes, or navigated the specific set of joys and sorrows that have been yours. Your path, with all its unexpected detours, its steep hills, and its quiet sunlit meadows, is utterly and completely unique to you. It is a masterpiece of your own making, sculpted by your choices, your resilience, and your spirit. So why do we spend so much time looking over at the next lane, checking to see if someone else is further ahead? Your friend may have traveled a path of marriage and children, while yours was one of career and independence. Your neighbor might have found success early in life, while your greatest accomplishments blossomed in your 50s or 60s. Neither path is better or worse. They are simply different. One is not the right way, and the other the wrong way. They are just two different, valid, and beautiful stories unfolding. To compare them is like comparing the journey of a river to the journey of a mountain. Both are powerful, both are majestic, and both are exactly where they need to be. I've learned to think of my life not as a race, but as a pilgrimage. In a race, the goal is to beat others, to get to the finish line first. But in a pilgrimage, the goal is the journey itself. It's about what you learn along the way, who you become, and how deeply you connect with the world and with your own soul. When you see your life as a sacred pilgrimage, the pressure to keep up with others simply melts away. You can slow down, you can breathe, you can appreciate the scenery, you can honor the blisters on your feet as evidence of how far you've come. So I invite you to do this with me. Take a moment and honor your unique path. Think of a challenge you overcame that no one else could have handled in quite the same way. Think of a joy that was uniquely yours. See the whole tapestry of your life, not just the threads you wish were different colors. Your story is not a rough draft waiting to be edited into someone else's version of success. It is a finished, profound, and important work of art. And the world is so much richer because your specific, unrepeatable journey is a part of it. The second gentle truth is one that life has taught me over and over again. And it's this. The most profound joy is often found in the smallest, most ordinary moments. We spend so much of our lives chasing the big things. The promotion, the dream house, the grand vacation. We believe that happiness is a destination we will arrive at once we achieve these monumental goals. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when... But what I've found is that true, sustainable contentment doesn't live in the whens. It lives in the nows. It lives in the spaces between the big events, in the quiet hum of everyday life. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you felt a pure, simple moment of happiness? I bet it wasn't on a stage or at a fancy event. Maybe it was the feeling of the sun on your face on the first warm day of spring. Perhaps it was the sound of a loved one's laughter, deep and genuine, filling up a room. It could have been the taste of that first sip of coffee in the quiet of the morning before the rest of the world wakes up, or the satisfaction of seeing a plant you've nurtured finally bloom. These moments are so small, so fleeting, that they are easy to miss if we're not paying attention. Our little sparrow, in his quest to become a peacock, was missing these very things. He was so focused on the grandeur of the peacock's tail that he no longer noticed the sweetness of the morning dew on a blade of grass. He overlooked the simple pleasure of a good flight on a strong wind and the camaraderie of his fellow sparrows. He was trading 1,000 small, real joys for the fantasy of one big, unattainable one. How often do we do the same? We are so busy planning for future happiness that we walk right past the happiness that is sitting on the park bench beside us, just waiting to be noticed. This is the beautiful gift that can come with age. We've lived long enough to know that the big, shiny moments are wonderful, but they are not the substance of a happy life. The substance is the texture of the everyday. It's learning to savor, not just consume. It's about finding the sacred in the ordinary. So I encourage you to become a collector of small joys. Start noticing them. Name them. Let them land in your heart. the perfect cup of tea, a song on the radio that takes you back, the comfort of a well-worn sweater. These are not just little things, they are everything. If comparison is the thief of joy, then gratitude is its guardian. This is the third gentle truth, and honestly, it might be the most powerful of all. Gratitude is a superpower. It's the one practice that can single-handedly shift your entire perspective, change your emotional state, and even rewire your brain for happiness. It sounds so simple, almost too simple, but its effects are truly profound. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes how you see them. It pulls your focus away from what is missing and shines a brilliant, loving light on what is already there. It is the ultimate antidote to that feeling of not enough. I started keeping a gratitude journal many years ago, and it has become one of the most important rituals of my day. At first, it felt a little awkward. Some days, especially the hard ones, I struggled to find things to write down, but I persisted. I wrote down the simplest things: a roof over my head, a comfortable bed, a phone call with a friend, and slowly, something began to shift within me. I started to actively look for things to be grateful for throughout my day. My eyes started scanning for goodness, for beauty, for kindness, instead of scanning for problems or deficiencies. Think of it like this: your mind is a garden. If you constantly water the weeds of worry, resentment, and comparison, they will grow and take over. But if you consciously choose to water the flowers of gratitude, they will flourish, and their beauty will eventually crowd out the weeds. It's a simple law of nature and a profound spiritual principle. What you focus on expands. When you focus on what you're thankful for, you will find you have more to be thankful for. It's a beautiful, self-perpetuating cycle of joy. It moves you from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance, even if nothing in your external world has changed. So how can you cultivate this superpower? You don't need a fancy journal. You can do it in your head as you fall asleep. You can share 3 things you're grateful for with a partner or a friend over dinner. The key is to make it a conscious, consistent practice. What are you grateful for right now, in this very moment? Maybe it's the chair that is holding you. Maybe it's the technology that is allowing you to read these words. Maybe it's the gift of another day of life. Let that feeling of thankfulness wash over you. It is truly the fastest path back to a state of grace and contentment. After we've learned to honor our own journey, find joy in the small things, practice gratitude, and let go of the past, we arrive at what I believe is the heart of it all. The 5th gentle truth is this: we are wired for connection. It is not a luxury. It is a fundamental human need, as essential as air and water. Our happiness is not a solo project. It is woven into the fabric of our relationships with others. In the end, it is the love we give and the love we receive that truly defines the richness of our lives. You can have all the success in the world, but if you have no one to share it with, the victory will feel hollow. Think about the moments in your life that have brought you the most profound sense of well-being. I'm willing to bet they involve other people. A shared laugh that made your sides ache. A comforting hand on your shoulder during a time of grief. A conversation that went so deep you lost all track of time. The simple, profound comfort of sitting in silence with someone you love, knowing that no words are necessary. These are the moments that build a life. These are the threads of gold in our personal tapestries. They are what we remember at the end of the day. As we get older, our social circles can sometimes shrink. Children grow up and move away, friends may pass on, and retirement can change our daily interactions. It can be easy to slide into isolation, to feel forgotten or left behind. This is why nurturing our connections becomes more important than ever. It requires a conscious effort. It means picking up the phone instead of just sending a text. It means saying yes to that coffee invitation, even if you feel tired. It means being brave enough to be the one who reaches out first to check on a neighbor or to join a new group or class. This is not about being a social butterfly or having 100 friends. It's about the quality, not the quantity, of your connections. It's about having those 1 or 2 people in your life with whom you can be your whole self, your messy, imperfect, glorious self, and know that you are loved completely. It's about community. It's about feeling seen, heard, and valued. The little sparrow in our story felt alone in his longing, but what if he had shared his feelings with another sparrow? He might have discovered he wasn't alone at all. Connection is the cure for comparison. Because when you feel truly connected, you realize we are all in this together. In the simple, profound act of being alive. There are still days when I find myself wishing for brighter feathers, comparing my journey to someone else's. But in those moments, I pause, place a hand over my heart, and remember, my own song is enough. That gentle return to gratitude and self-kindness is what makes all the difference. I want to be honest with you. I speak about these things not as someone who has it all figured out, but as a fellow traveler on the path. I have had more sparrow moments than I can count. I remember standing backstage at a big event, one that should have felt like a pinnacle of success. I looked out at the lights and the crowd, and all I could feel was a hollow ache. I was looking at another person in my field, someone I admired, and the old, familiar voice of comparison started whispering in my ear. Her work is more important. She is more beloved. You're just an imposter. In that moment, I was that little brown sparrow looking at a peacock and feeling utterly plain. All my accomplishments, all the love I had in my life, all the good I had tried to put into the world, it all vanished in that fog of comparison. I felt small and unworthy. It was a painful, lonely feeling. It took me a moment to catch myself, to take a deep breath, and to bring myself back to the truths I knew in my heart. I had to consciously remind myself, your journey is your own, Oprah. Be grateful for where you are. Connect with the love in this room. It wasn't a magic fix, but it was a shift. It was a conscious decision to stop watering the weeds and to turn my attention back to the flowers. I had to talk to myself with the kindness I would offer a friend. I had to choose contentment over comparison, right there in that moment of vulnerability. And that is what this practice is all about. It's not about never feeling the pang of comparison again. It's about what you do in the moment after you feel it. Do you let it spiral you down, or do you use it as a cue to come back to yourself? These moments of vulnerability are not weaknesses. They are invitations. They are invitations to practice what we know, to lean on our hard-won wisdom, and to be gentle with ourselves. They remind us that we are human. They keep us humble, and they connect us to everyone else who has ever felt that way, which, I assure you, is everyone. So when you have your own sparrow moment, and you will please don't be hard on yourself, see it for what it is, a reminder to come back home to the truth of who you are, a beautiful, worthy, and completely unique soul. We began with a story about a little sparrow who wished he were a peacock. He thought happiness lay in being something other than what he was. But the secret, the great wisdom that I hope you take with you today, is that his happiness was always right there, waiting for him inside his own sparrow heart. It was in his own flight, on his own wings. It was in his own simple, beautiful, and unrepeatable song. A song that no peacock, for all its dazzling beauty, could ever sing. His purpose was not to be a second-rate peacock, but to be the best and most joyful sparrow he could possibly be. And so it is with you. Your life is your song. It is a unique melody that has never been heard before and will never be heard again. It is composed of all your joys, your sorrows, your struggles, and your triumphs. To compare your song to someone else's is to miss the beauty of your own composition. The world does not need another imitation. The world needs you in all of your authentic, imperfect, and magnificent truth. It needs your specific wisdom, your particular brand of kindness, your unique laughter. So, as you move forward from this day, I invite you to make a gentle pact with yourself, to set down the heavy mirror of comparison, to celebrate your own journey with all its twists and turns, to train your eyes to see the small wonders that fill your days, to water your heart with gratitude, to gently release the past so you can embrace the present, and most of all, to nurture the connections that give your life its deepest meaning and purpose. This is the art of living well. This is the path to a deep and lasting contentment. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for being open to this conversation. You are not alone on this journey. Look around. We are all sparrows, learning to love our own wings, learning to sing our own songs. And what a beautiful chorus we make when we all sing together. Go out and let your heart sing its beautiful, unrepeatable song. The world is waiting to hear it.